Hi, good morning everybody. This is Pastor David here and welcome to the virtual Spiritual Saturday. And as before, we'll be carrying on the promise, which is pictorial biography. So what happened is, while waiting for people to come on, let me see. I will just refresh so I can see who is coming on my page here. So what happened is, while I wait for more people to come on, I will be doing a little recap of what I spoke about previously about Rinpoche's biography. At the beginning, I spoke about what this is about in Tibetan tradition, biographies of High Lamas, biographies of great monks, scholars, pundits, translators, traditionally a genre of Buddhist scriptures, or Buddhist texts that is often studied because, and they're called namta. Namta literally means liberating stories. So these stories are told and read and studied by people in general because it's inspiring. Hence it's called liberating stories, because when you read it, you are liberated, meaning you're inspired to do practice. When you are inspired to do practice, you are liberated from your problems, as in samsara and as in ordinary life. So you are inspired to practice, to free yourself from your issues and the problems you may become. So biographies of High Lamas are very important, especially for us, especially in this day and age. And the tradition of, I wouldn't say the tradition, but Rinpoche's biography was an instruction, an advice / instruction from his teacher, his name is Kechara Rinpoche. And it was Gangchen Rinpoche who told our Rinpoche that his biography should be written, should be composed, and that was relayed to, of course, the students, because it's very important. Because Rinpoche's life, what Rinpoche thought about it was, he felt that it was nothing special, but it was nothing special, and it wasn't a typical biography of a High Lama where he studied many teachers, he gained attainments, and floated in the sky, and, had lots of visions, and Rinpoche was very humble. And I personally feel that Rinpoche had a number of supernatural accounts that perhaps many of them we probably will never know. So, but what we do know was extraordinary in itself, because it details a story of a monk, of a person who traveled from the west to the east, who overcame a lot of adversities, difficulties, abuse, who overcame a lot of challenges in order to immerse himself in spirituality as a monk in monastic life, immerse himself in a devotional setting of a student to a lama, and that is itself is inspirational, because that's the basis of spirituality. And so that was probably what Gangchen Rinpoche had in mind, because he felt Rinpoche had an extraordinary life that needs to be told, and especially for the students who are inspired by Rinpoche's teachings, to know about his background and where he came from and what he's about, his life. Basically, his entire life was about the Dharma, was about spirituality, was about benefiting others. So his story is inspiration for us, for our practice. Okay? So it's, so what we will do, I was doing a recap, right? So, and then I went into, as of tradition, we usually go into Rinpoche's previous lives. So there were 24 incarnations that was recognized by the Vishuddin, and so some of them were detailed, and then I spoke about my favorite, and I think some of you guys, perhaps, I think you are still watching, you might be watching right now, you shared with me your favorite incarnations. Mine was, my favorite was, I very much like and inspired by Naropa, the incredible student of Tilopa. His incarnation of Naropa, I was very much fascinated by Ralotawa with his incredible occult powers and adversities he had to overcome in order to propagate the teachings. And I really much was inspired by many, like Panchen Sonatrapa, Return Junju, great scholars who spent their entire life translating, cataloging the teachings, compiling, making it available, and that inspired generations of scholars later. So, these are some of my, I may have missed one or two, but anyway, it doesn't matter. So, and then I went into Rinpoche's birth, the dreams that his mother had, the similarity that the mother's dream had with the Buddha's mother, and the symbolism of an elephant, of a bodhisattva. That's what it was. And then I went into a little bit about him in his childhood, early childhood in Taiwan, and then how he got into America. And so growing up in America is where I'm covering today. As I did last week a little bit, but I'm going to do it more this week. So if you have anything to add, hi Alice, and Guai Ying and Yin Ping. So if you have anything to ask or add to what I have to say, and perhaps some of you have read Rinpoche's biography and you have a question, and I also pointed out basically Rinpoche when he was young, right? The unique qualities of a young incarnation like Rinpoche, although he was unofficially recognized, but his mother denied his recognition. He would not allow monks to bring him to the monastery. So his qualities was never developed fully from the beginning. So what happened was it was naturally, it arose naturally, especially later on when he was growing up in America. So when he was in America, he had an intense fascination for Buddha images. Buddhist art, he would draw Buddha images. Not easy, mind you, but he did it. And he liked doing mantras. He read up on Buddhism as much as he can, and could understand at his young, tender age. And so these are qualities you see in high incarnate lamas, because they did it before. So the imprints are very strong. So I spoke a little bit about imprints last week. Imprints are basically latent memories. It's actions that we did in our previous lives. Action is karma. Karma is action. Karma literally means actions, by the way. So everything that we do is stored. Every action that we do, your body, our speech, and mind, are stored within our mind stream. And what happens is it's stored as seeds. So what happens is when you take rebirth, these imprints will arise. And it doesn't have to be just Dharma imprints, it can be secular imprints, it could be imprints of art. Hence you have prodigies, from a very young age, they are incredibly gifted to paint. I've seen, 5, 6-year-olds paint like, great artists. And then you have musicians, you have geniuses from a very young age. Those are very, very obvious signs of imprints from previous lives, but those are secular imprints. So for high incarnate lamas who have taken rebirth, you see imprints in a different way in the spiritual manner. So for example, like Rinpoche, his imprints manifested in his intense interest in Buddhism, and when he went to the temple, he had a temple nearby that his mother would go to, his family would go to, and he loved to stare at Buddha images, pendant lamo, Rinpoche spoke about, in particular Jushui and all that. So these are signs of an incarnate Lama. Then I also spoke about how do we develop our imprint so that in our future lives that we can meet the Dharma at an early age. So I thought it was neat. Oh, hi Sharon. Glad to see you on. So this is what I spoke about last week, and in general, so I'll go into Rinpoche's childhood a little bit more. I will look at pictures. I have the book here with me. If you do not have Rinpoche's biography, look at the caption of this video. I think it's above the video, right? Above, you will see a link. Click on it. You can download the entire book in PDF. It is possible. Read the instructions on the Rinpoche's blog, and you can download the PDF and you can flip through the book on your laptop, on your computer, and look at the pictures, read the Rinpoche's story, life story, and it's not very long. It's just that because it's in English and Chinese, so it's a wonderful way to get to know Rinpoche, to understand what he's about, and also to inspire us on our practice. So, okay, Rinpoche's childhood in America. As I mentioned last week, because of the situation where he was born to parents, his father was Tibetan, his mother was Mongolian, his mother was of royal blood, royalty, princess in fact, of the defunct Mongolian state. So what happened was, because he was born out of wedlock, so the mother was embarrassed and had issues about having a child. So what happened was he was placed under foster care in Taiwan, and then by his grandmother and mother together. And unfortunately, the person taking care of him did not do a good job, and so he was taken away from this foster care, and it was placed under the care of a Kalmyk Mongol couple in America this time. So from Taiwan, he was brought over to America at a very young age. I think there's pictures of Rinpoche in the airport, and he came under the care of Boris and Dana Bugayev. And while in America, this is where is this? This is in New Jersey. New Jersey is quite near to New York, about an hour plus drive. I know this because I was there like a couple of years back. We took a drive from New York City, and we went to see Rinpoche's childhood home. It's still standing today in New Jersey, and it's beautiful. The time I went was summer, so the summer is different from tropical summer in Malaysia. Summer in America, in that part of America, was pretty temperate. It's warm, sunny, but the breeze was cool. It was dry. Over here in Malaysia, it's humid, so it's a huge contrast. And it was a little bit of a suburban America. Suburban means you see more houses and a lot of trees, a little bit of shops, perhaps a mall somewhere. So it's a very suburban setting where Rinpoche grew up. And the place where he grew up was pretty much a large Kalmyk Mongol, perhaps there are other tribes, I'm not sure, other Mongol peoples there, but as far as I know, it was mainly Kalmyk. And what happened was, there are 3 temples I remember in that small area, so that it's not just one. So the one that Rinpoche would go to was called Rashi Champiling, and he met his first teacher there, Sarame Khenso Losang Tashi. That's how Rinpoche called him by his entire name, Sarame Khenso Losang Tachin. Losang Tachin is actually his name. Sarame is actually his monastery, and Khenso is a title given to him because he's an abbot. He's an ex-abbot, or abbot emeritus, meaning he has retired, and was living in America at that time to give teachings to guide the community there in that temple. So what happened was Rinpoche would go there, and he became his first teacher, and he would ask a lot of questions, and he would try to get involved in all the pujas and teachings as much as he could as a young boy. Okay, so, and then I mentioned also last week about how, earlier I did mention Rinpoche drew, and he would give, he would draw Buddha pendants. And mind you, this is something that extends all the way to today. Rinpoche of course, Rinpoche don't draw Buddha pendants these days. I mean, before Rinpoche, what Rinpoche does is he had commissioned Buddha pendants, real Buddha pendants. And this was inspired by a Buddha pendant that was given by his foster mother, Lena Bugayev, which is a gold Buddha pendant. Apparently, he told us that gold Buddha pendants was a Mongol tradition where everybody has one. It's a solid gold, and you wear it for life, and it's to bless the wearer. And so Rinpoche liked that tradition and introduced it here. I mean in general, even the Chinese do that, but so what Rinpoche did was he had the Tibetan Buddhists like Tsongkhapa, like Vajrayogini, like Dorje Shugden especially, designed for us in a very modern, beautiful Buddha pendants. Designed and what Rinpoche wanted for us, and is designed for people like you and me, because we like to wear beautiful things, we like to wear jewelry. So that's something that he felt that people today would appreciate, rather than paper pendants. Traditionally in the as far as I know, in the Tibetan tradition, they don't really wear pendants. They like to wear, in the past, they wear huge gaos. Some of you know what a gao is. Gao, that's a Tibetan word. Gao means it's a huge box, amulet box. Sometimes it's as big as this, or sometimes it's like a door. It's a huge box they wear with a tsatsa inside. A tsatsa is a Buddhist image made of clay. Okay, so it's usually they wear that, or they wear a protector, a string, or they wear what's the third thing? Chakras. Chakras are basically amulets, paper amulets that is folded. Inside is printed in a circular manner, the mantra of the deity in a circular way. As a circle. Chakra means a circle, by the way. So it's folded, and then they use strings to tie it and weave into a beautiful pattern, and it's worn. As far as I remember, the Tibetans usually is this tree. If any Tibetans watching this, and I may be wrong, please tell me. So far, no. So what happened was, so in the Mongol tradition, they wear Buddha pendants. Probably a modern Mongol tradition, they wear pendants. And also, I think Chinese also will do that. And perhaps for us, we have more fanciful things like jade and all that. And we do have nowadays in Kechara Paradise, in our store here in Naropa's Cave, Wisdom Hall, Kechara Forest Retreat. And for those of you watching this from elsewhere, you can order them, you can see them online on our site, mastersecrets.com. Sorry, it's a commercial break. So my point in telling you all this is that you see Rinpoche's passion was not something, he did in his childhood, then later on he gave it up. It was something that he did his entire life. Yes, his entire life. From a very young age, because he didn't have the capability to reproduce, so he had to draw it by hand and give it up to people. His purpose in drawing is not to express art or to draw because he's bored or it's an art project. It's not. It was something that it was a passion for him, and he feels very strongly that the Buddha image can bless people, can protect people. So later on in his later childhood, adolescent, what he did was he started photocopying. He discovered the Xerox machine, the photocopier, and he would photocopy lots of images to give out to people. And then, when he came to Malaysia, then that's when he started reproducing Buddha images, statues, pendants. And so, as my point is, I'm showing you that, verbally of course, that Rinpoche's passion is from the beginning, from his childhood to today. So that's the difference between us and Rinpoche. Because a lot of us, in our childhood, we have little passion. Some of us like to write, some of us like to doodle, draw little stick figures, draw little stories. Some of us, we play as a scientist, we play as a police. Then later on, as we grow up, we change, we become different. We have different passions, we change accordingly. Rinpoche is very consistent all along. It's just that as he grew older, he became more skilled, and there were more. He became better at it. He improved on it, and then his whole thing was to benefit others. That's the whole idea. I see. Alice asked. Alice is actually here, but she wrote it down there. May I know, is there any difference between Buddha pendant, chakra, and protector string in terms of function? All are blessed and powerful to protect us. Yes, Alice. They are all wonderful protection. It will bless us, it will protect us, and they're all the same. So you can go the route of some Buddhists. I know they wear a tremendous amount of Buddha pendants, Buddha amulets, like a charm necklace. Actually, it's a charm bracelet, but this is a necklace. I've seen some people do that. You can wear a lot of them, or you can just wear one. So it's up to you. In the Tibetan Buddhist tradition, in our tradition, Kechara, we don't recommend wearing so many. That's why we don't pray to all the Buddhas on the Guru tree, because there's so many Buddhas. We only pray to Lama Tsongkhapa. We only have our, even for some of us, we're wearing Rinpoche's pendant. Our Rinpoche represents all the Buddhas, or Dorje Shukden, whichever, doesn't matter. Just wear one. You don't have to wear all of them. I've seen some people, what they do is they have a protector string, and then they put their pendant on it. It's wonderful, 2-in-1. I mean, you can wear all, if you do, you want to. Who is anybody to say, who am I to tell you it's wrong? It's not wrong or right, it's got nothing to do with that. It's up to you, whether you want to do it. So the function is the same. Okay, it's to protect us. It's the same. So don't worry about it. Okay. I've got a comment here. Sukha Kelsang. Volume is a bit low. I don't know about anybody else. Maybe perhaps you want to turn up your volume. I will speak as much as I can to be louder. Whatever it is, I'll do my best, okay? Because I think I'm speaking quite loud here already. So, I was on Rinpoche's biography and on his childhood and on his passion for Buddha images from his birth to later on. So, aside from that, Rinpoche, from a very young age, loved animals. I spoke about that last week. I won't go into it so much. And Rinpoche also had other passions like, or other games like he used to play as he would. These are definitely imprints from his previous life of being a teacher. So what he would do was he would cut strips of paper. He would compose something on it. It's gibberish, and then he would pretend to teach, and to an imaginary audience. That's what Rinpoche used to do. That was imprints from his previous life. And then, things like that. So aside from that, Rinpoche had a lot of questions. He had a few friends, Dharma friends. He had a friend who became a nun eventually. He had a friend who was a Buddhist scholar, and of course his teacher as well. And okay, now come to his parents, the dynamics at home, okay? When Rinpoche was growing up in New Jersey, his parents are pretty much Boris and David Lai, they were colleagues, and they spoke at home. They spoke basically Kalmyk Mongol, I think, a bit of Russian, English a little bit as well, of course, and yeah, these were the languages at home. And what happened was, Rinpoche from a very young age was pretty much, the mother was very affectionate. The father was a little different, as in most Mongol fathers. They were headstrong father figure. They wanted their son to be, in a certain way. So he was put to school. Rinpoche's passion was not actually school, but he excelled in school nonetheless. He was placed, as far as I remember, Rinpoche was pretty good with most subjects, perhaps not some of the more technical ones like maths and all that, but he was really good, especially with language. And Rinpoche was a boisterous, happy kid, That's one thing I mentioned last week. When you look at Rinpoche's pictures and you know his story, I find there's a disparity, because he was really happy, He looked like he had a wonderful childhood, although he did not. And so what I felt was Rinpoche was the type of child that was different, because he liked to express he liked to make people happy, he liked to make people laugh, and he seemed to be that type of child. This is not something Rinpoche said, I like to do that, but I've seen Rinpoche's report card, and that's what his teachers used to say. He talks a lot in school, and he's very expressive. He gets along with most people, most kids, and he's playful, and he's intelligent, and he got along with everybody. But at home, things were not so good. One thing is that he did not conform to his parents' view of what a child should like and should be, in a sense that, most parents want their kids to go to school, go to college, get a degree, get a master's, PhD, whatever it is, a certification, and then get a job, get a girlfriend, get married, pursue a normal career, and that's basically what Rinpoche's parents wanted, but that's not what Rinpoche wanted. Okay, now I see some comments here. Let me see. Iman, hi Iman, and Martin, welcome. Iman says this: Good morning, Pastor David and all. Once a pendant is consecrated by a High Lama, will its effectiveness fade and something need to be done on the pendant after a few years? Thanks. As far as I know, the monks do reconsecrate pendants, but I do not feel that it fades over time. What I feel is that it's just, I feel that the blessings will always be there as long as we have faith. It's actually the wearer, the person, how much faith you have in the Buddha image. Okay, in the blessings of the person, of the Lama who blessed it. That's what I feel. Rinpoche has never said, you have to reconsecrate your pendant. No. Rinpoche has never taught it, but I know by tradition they do that. You can have your pendants reconsecrated. It could be 10 years. It doesn't have to be a few years, maybe 10 years from the other side. But I never get my pendants reconsecrated with Rinpoche blessed. I just think of it as blessed for life. So and Rinpoche did say it's really up to your faith and belief, and I think that's a more powerful blessing for your pendant than it is to do rituals on it. And in fact, Rinpoche said, we ourselves, if a monk or a lama is not available to bless our Buddha image, whether it's something we printed out, a frame, to be on a shrine or altar, or a pendant that we have purchased from vajrasecrets.com, you can do it. And Rinpoche has a blog post on, which I'll post there. That's right now, where you can do your prayers and consecrate yourself, the Buddha image. Okay, So my personal belief, you do not need to. But in prevalent beliefs is that you can. And can doesn't mean that I don't, the people never, the monks never talk of it, the blessings degenerate. Perhaps it's not degenerating the blessings, perhaps it's we polluting it. You know, we can, this is what they say, you know, that because of the negative thoughts that we have, the things that we do with our body and all that, we can pollute. Apparently our negative energies can rub off. I think that would probably be what they're thinking rather than the blessings degenerate. Okay, I hope that answers your question. Back to the story. Where was I? At home. So what Rinpoche had in mind from a very young age was he wanted to be a monk. He wanted to receive a lot of teachings. Okay, he's very different from other children, and in the sense that he inexhaustible, cannot be, you know, it's like constantly he wants to read, he wants to look at the Buddha images, he wants to go to the temple, he wants to hang out with the monks, with the Dharma brothers and sisters, ask a lot of questions. And everything else is something that is secondary, is fun and it's important to him as a child, but it's not as important, it's not his passion. Okay, so that had a clash, his view of what he wants and his interests with his parents, because what his parents saw in him was that they were afraid that he would be a monk. And then he will, you know, will not get married and all that. You know, perhaps some of you, you know, you may experience that kind of challenges with your family, personal family. When you come to Dharma, you're afraid, oh, you join a cult. or you've started your Dharma career volunteering at your Dharma center in Kechara or elsewhere, and then your family will think, oh, what happened? You know, are you okay with some? You know, one of the prevailing thoughts that people have is that you had some kind of setback, you had a failed romance, you know, they thought you failed in life or your career, and that's why you were looking at spirituality. Well, I have this to say, as far as I know, most people in Kechara who join, and myself especially, I can talk for myself, is that I've not failed in life. I have not. It's not because I have nowhere else to go. It's not because, you know, I had a girlfriend or a boyfriend, whatever it is, that left me, and that's why I'm in Dharma. No, it's not because of failure or in secular life, and that's why I'm pursuing spirituality. It is something that, when I met Rinpoche, it is something that opened in me, that I find value in it, and it's become my life, part of my life. So it's not a response to failure. It's not a response to a setback or a crisis. It's not. Same thing for Rinpoche. And for a lot of people in Kechara. And I mean, for some people, yes, they have encountered some difficulties, and that's why it inspired them to pursue Dharma. For me, it wasn't that way. And I mean, of course, there are, you know, everybody has their own experience in spirituality, whatever it is. So what happened is Rinpoche's parents was afraid that Rinpoche would go that way and neglect his duty as a son to a family, to produce children and all that. Okay. So what happened was, so Rinpoche, as Rinpoche grew older, his passion and interest in learning became more and more. And then he started going for teachings. He started wanting to go for more teachings, initiations. And so the clash became bigger. And at the same time, there was marital issues between just foster parents that created the circumstances for the mother to develop mental issues, schizophrenia specifically. And what happened was, because of schizophrenia creates her violent outbursts of emotions. So most of the issues that arose in Rinpoche's household, that Rinpoche became the victim, was because of this schizophrenia fits, where Rinpoche's mother found an issue in Rinpoche, something small, and then she just builds up into this frenzy, and so Rinpoche was beaten, and Rinpoche was made to do a lot of house chores, and from a very young age, and much more than any of his peers. And what is amazing about this is not that Rinpoche experienced it, because a lot of people experience some sort of a beating, of training, of punishment at home. Sometimes even emotional and physical abuse as well. So a lot of people experience it. So there's nothing special about that Rinpoche had experienced. What is special is how Rinpoche reacted to it, and how Rinpoche regarded his mother. Because when Rinpoche told the story of his mother, he doesn't immediately talk about the beatings first. He always talk about how Rinpoche's mother is extremely generous, how Rinpoche's mother is kind. Rinpoche would basically, whatever Rinpoche wanted, as in toys and books and all that, Rinpoche's mother is more than happy to oblige. That's what Rinpoche told us. And then also from a very young age, Rinpoche's besides all that, what happened is, because that part of America during winter, it's very cold, it snows, and then it's so that at the height of winter it can be so bad that the snow is quite hard. So sometimes cars and all can get stuck. So Rinpoche would actually go with his mother to help rescue people who were stuck in the snow. That's what Rinpoche told us. And he has a vivid recollection of rescuing a bread man, a truck that delivers bread. And Rinpoche would go with his shovel along with his mother to dig up and rescue people. And that's the kind of mother that Rinpoche remembers. And then on the other hand, Rinpoche also remembers the mother would actually invite vagabonds, people on the street, back home to have a warm meal. And it's not just leftover food, it is the food that is actually served to the family. Yeah, it's really good food that she cooked up, and Rinpoche remembers her as a good cook as well, and good in housework. So Rinpoche doesn't just remember the beatings and abuse, he remembers the good things about. A lot of us, from our childhood, we get similar treatment. We remember more of the punishments, more of the abuse, more of the verbal assaults from our parents than that. So that's the difference I see in Rinpoche. And Rinpoche does not, from a very young age, Rinpoche said, Rinpoche's EQ is very high. Right? EQ is emotional quotient. IQ, EQ. IQ is intelligent quotient. EQ is emotional. Of course, Rinpoche's IQ is quite high as well, very, very high. But I'm not talking about that right now. I'm talking about EQ. Because why I say that is because he remembers understanding his mother in the sense that why his mother is like that. He knew it from a very young age. He said he feels very strongly that it was because of his father, but he didn't know what was happening at the beginning. Then later on, he realized, he sensed, because he saw his father sneaking off, having affairs outside. So he knew that had an impact on his mother emotionally and psychologically. So, and as a result, he was the only child at home at that time. So he became the victim. And so it was vented out on Rinpoche. And I'm not saying that Rinpoche is this amazing Rinpoche child that can weather all this abuse and not feel anything. Rinpoche felt it. Rinpoche was extremely affected by it for life. I believe that Rinpoche was extremely affected even into his adult years, and it's not written because it's from my own personal observation. That there's a lot of even Rinpoche, even a person like Rinpoche, is strong, commanding, wise, and kind as Rinpoche. he had a lot of insecurities. And if you watch Rinpoche's teaching, sometimes he does reveal them. Rinpoche is very open. One thing about Rinpoche is that he's extremely forthcoming with whatever insecurities he has, and he will tell it. He will expose it. He told me many times. And I feel his insecurities was very deep-seated from that time of his childhood. So he was affected. But you see, I mean, what I'm trying to say is Rinpoche is also human. I'm not going to paint him like, oh wow, he's this Tulku child who's amazing, born from a lotus, and had no flaws. And he had a human quality of insecurity. He had a human quality of being upset, being affected by the abuse that he received. But he did not see it that way. He saw his mother for who she was, who she is. A beautiful person that's psychologically affected. So that's the part that I saw Rinpoche had a high EQ from a very young age. Okay, let's see. Hi Phoebe, hi, welcome. Oh, Sukfan, hello, Sukfan. She says that the audio is not good, it's echo-ish since last week. Not sure because of the change of the shooting spot. Actually, the shooting spot has not changed much. The first week I did it was just across the room, so there is a bit of echo. Maybe I'll change to another location, good point. The next week, perhaps is the location. Yes, there is an echo here because it's huge. It's a huge room. And Phoebe Yong says good morning, good morning. Maybe also the way I speak, sometimes I drone off. So I'll try to maintain a stable volume so everybody can hear me clearly, okay? Sharon, hi, you have this comment. I may have read or heard some of the stories about Rinpoche a few times, but each time I hear it again, I'm reminded of why it inspires me, and also I get fresh insights about it. Oh, wonderful. Yes, that's one of the things that I really love when Rinpoche talks about it. Rinpoche is a fantastic storyteller. I know I'm so sorry, but more for you guys, you'll be more of reading it from a book or listening to little anecdotes. I heard it live many times. Sometimes Rinpoche would just sit us down and he would just recollect his childhood and tell us. And I mean, he had a point now, he's not just telling the stories. He had a point about a particular aspect of his childhood that he wished to impress on us from the perspective of the Dharma. So sometimes he would tell us, and I always love those sessions because, I always feel I was transported back to America, although I've never been to America at that time, and just going along and experiencing Rinpoche's childhood along with Rinpoche's recollection. And with Rinpoche, his childhood was not easy, and I said that one of the qualities was that Rinpoche had high EQ from a very young age, and then the abuse, and he understood it. He could understand that it was not from his mother. It was that time in America. They were not so advanced in psychology, and it was not picked up. She did not get medical attention, or psychological, or what do you call it, attention for mental issues. So unfortunately, when she felt the full brunt of her condition. And what is amazing was, although Rinpoche continued to experience the insecurity and all the after effects of his upbringing during those years, it never affected him negatively. Meaning, Rinpoche did not become a bitter person. Rinpoche did not become abusive to others. Rinpoche did not become psychologically damaged to the point where he goes on to damage others. He goes on to inflict the same psychological damage onto others. He did not. That was not Rinpoche. And that was amazing because a lot of people, ourselves included, when we had some kind of negative situation or negative childhood, of abuse, or scolding, or we remember it, and then we act out of it. So that's the thing. That differentiates us from Rinpoche, I feel, that is inspirational, and it inspires us in what way? It is possible to move out of that. Because for most of us, psychologically, we are very affected by, or rather, we remember very clearly our childhood and whatever upbringing we had as a child, we carry on into adulthood. I'm not saying that we continue to be children ourselves. All of us are grown up. I mean, I'm talking to the adults here. We are grown up, but our psychological makeup, the way we handle stress, the way we handle rejection, the way we handle difficulties, the way we handle, verbal insults, the way we handle people in general, the way we regard people, loved ones, are all part and parcel of how we saw our parents and how they have treated us, how we were brought up, and it affects us to this day. And for many of us, we'll probably never really break out of it. We perhaps with the Dharma, we can temper it with wisdom, with experience, with practice, with contemplation, with active participation in transforming ourselves. We can. And Rinpoche's story is one inspiration for us that it is possible to overcome it. Okay? So I think that's very nice, and I thought to impress the viewers. And thank you for your comments. I'm so sorry. Okay, I will try to maintain the volume. And I'm so sorry, I have to apologize for the echo. I will change to another location. I'm using a mic right now. It should be better, but I guess still it's a factor. And one of the things that I thought, that's one of the things that is important, a very important, crucial aspect of Rinpoche's childhood was his upbringing at home and the abuse that he received, and from his mother, the beatings. And Rinpoche has an entire recording somewhere, I remember, and Rinpoche just details the amount of housework he has to do. He does the cleaning, the cooking. Later on, from a young age, of course, he couldn't cook, but later on, when he grew older, Rinpoche was taught how to cook and was given the responsibility of cooking, especially when the mother had guests. And he would cook, and he would serve, and he would clean up after that. And he would do the gardening. And mind you, it's not a small little terrace house in Malaysia, it's a huge yard behind. I can't remember how big it is, it's huge. It's bigger than the average Malaysian home. Because I've been there, I've seen it. And typical of many suburban homes in America, because land is plentiful in America. So he has to mow the lawn, he has to do the gardening. The mother loves to plant flowers, vegetables, and all that stuff. And he would do the gardening, he had to ensure that they survive. And, he had to do the housework, clean the house, he had to assist quite a lot, do the laundry as well, and a lot for a young boy. And speaking from my own experience, my parents was very, I'm pretty privileged in that way, in that manner, because I didn't do much housework, and even if I did, it was just something that I clean my room, my bed. So for Rinpoche, it was, Rinpoche does not remember it as abuse. He does not remember it as something bad. Rinpoche remembers it as a wonderful training for him to serve his teachers later on. So he felt his mother trained him to do housework so that when he meets his teachers, he's able to serve them, help them with their personal chores, and so he was ready to cook and to serve, especially when later on when he met his teacher, Kechara. So in his earlier years, that was the highlight of Rinpoche's. And then in school, he had good friends. And he also talked about his recollection of cycling to various places. In New Jersey, it's very, very, very beautiful. Lots of trees, lakes, and there's one particular lake that Rinpoche used to cycle to. It's called Turkey Swamp, and there's a section in Rinpoche's biography. And there's a beautiful picture of Turkey Swamp, and also his friend Mark Reed, and Rinpoche would go there, and his friend would just chill out, relax. And what Rinpoche would do is he would do meditation. He would contemplate on Chenrezig, and he would do his meditations, his mantras, and visualize Chenrezig. Chenrezig, as in the Buddha of compassion, Avalokiteshvara in Sanskrit, or Kuan Yin in Chinese. So in the Tibetan form, forearm arising from the leg. Here, Rinpoche had a beautiful blog post, and also I think it's mentioned here. And also Rinpoche has pictures of him revisiting Turkey Swamp in his later years. Pictures of Rinpoche here at the swamp, Turkey Swamp. And also Rinpoche spoke about the books that he read, like The Door to Liberation, that inspired him. And teachings like compassion moves Rinpoche very much. About many of the teachings. And also Rinpoche spoke about his teacher, Khenso Losang Tashi, and the teachings he received, and the devotion as a young child that he felt for his teachers specifically, and also of many things. There is a recollection of Rinpoche meeting Dorje Shukden for the first time. Let me see, this is short. I think I would like to read this. It's not very long. Okay? It is called Meeting a Secret Protector. He didn't know who it was at that time. Okay, let me read it out because it's just a couple of paragraphs. Lota was a young monk in Rashi Jampiling, the first temple that he would go to, who looked after Khenso Rinpoche, Khenso Losang Tashi, of course. His room was just opposite Khenso Rinpoche's room. I wanted to be a monk, and I was curious how monks live their lives. So I sneaked into Lota's room one day to find out. I opened every drawer I could find as a young kid because I wanted to know what monks usually keep in their possession. In that room, there was a tall closet. It was high at that time, so I was young, and I managed to open it. Inside was a black and white picture of a figure and a cup of tea in front of it. I grabbed the picture as I could get a better look, I wanted to memorize the deity, but as I grabbed the picture, Lota caught me in his room. He took the picture from my hand and quickly closed the closet door. I asked Lota several times what Buddha it was, but he refused to tell me, and only replied that it was not for me. The next day, I tried to sneak to Lota's room again, but he had locked the door. It was only many years later that I realized the picture I saw in that closet was Dorje Shukden. So that was Rinpoche's first time seeing Dorje Shukden. Of course, at that time he didn't know who it was. And his teachers at that time were traditionalists. They were stickler to tradition, and Dharma Protector practice is not something that you advertise and show by tradition. It's not the first teaching that is given to people. It's not. It's usually the Lamrim, mind training teachings, 8 verses, 3 principal paths, 3 principal aspects of the path is taught to people, and then I know people receive initiation perhaps of Chenrezig, of Kuan Yin, of Lama Tsongkhapa, Manjushri, and then later on, as they progress, they get higher initiations and practices. Then only you get a protective practice. That's not something you get at the beginning. So this is something I wanted to highlight. That's why to explain why it was not revealed to Rinpoche at a young age who it was. It's not something you advertise your practice. Dharma protected practice is supposed to be kept secret by tradition, not because the protected is controversial, it's not. It is because it's a practice that is supposed to be for later and something to be, it's a personal thing. It's to be kept secret. All our practices by tradition are not supposed to, you're not supposed to say, oh, I got this initiation, I've got Vajragini, I've got Manjushri, how wonderful Dharma practitioner I am. I do the sadhana every single day, the long sadhana, and I do the mantra, I've memorized it, and I can recite it to you if you want. No, you're not supposed to do that. That's not how you go about the practice. Okay, you don't advertise to people, you do what practices and what things you study and all that. It's not. Your practice is your personal thing. It's to develop you, to develop your qualities of compassion, of humility. In order to develop compassion, you have some level of humility at the beginning. And also humility is very, very important in our practice because it keeps us humble so that we can keep learning. You know, a lot of the deities like Zambala, the Buddha, and many others, they carry an expression. Some people think it's semi-Rahul, it's not. It's a haughty expression, it's a proud expression, like they are very wealthy and proud. And the reason why they carry the expression is because to counter our pride in us, pride and the love to show off stops us from learning the Dharma. I repeat, pride and the wish to show off stop us from learning the Dharma from others, because we are constantly learning the Dharma. We are inspired not just from Rinpoche alone. We're inspired from people, different people, senior Dharma brothers and sisters, from the pastors, from the monks. Sometimes we see a monk. We can see many monks and teachers from other traditions, and even they can inspire us to practice. We don't necessarily need to practice their teachings, but they can inspire us to practice our own tradition. Okay? So we can get inspired, and we can learn from them, from their experience, and incorporate in our own learning of our lineage. Because why I stress that our own lineage is not that it is wrong to go out other teachers. It is that because we have not mastered our own lineage and our own tradition, I'm pretty sure people who are viewing this, your own tradition, your own teacher, if you're from Kechara, then wonderful. Your own tradition. If you have not mastered the teachings, and I'm talking Lamrim, Three Principal Paths, I'm talking Lama Tsongkhapa's entire works, on emptiness and all that. If you have not mastered it, you've not understood it, why do you want to go to another teacher? So you don't. And Rinpoche had the same thinking, and that's why he went to his teacher, his first teacher, Khenso Losam Tachin, and received teachings. And when he went to his next, he would ask permission from his first teacher whether he can go to the next teacher. And that's what Rinpoche did. When he later on, when he ran away from home, which I need to let me see. I don't have time. Maybe the next. Let me see. I'll talk a little bit about it, and then we will end the session for today. Okay. So no questions. Wonderful. Everybody is incredibly inspired, I hope. And I hope you can hear me clearly. I'm sorry the mic and the sound is not too good. I apologize for that. And we'll try to fix that next week. Alright? And if you have no questions, I will speak a little bit about literally why he ran away from me. Because I was actually building it up, the story. Because of the conflict we had between his Rinpoche's wish to be a monk, to study the Dharma, and also the parents' wishes for him to go to school, get a girlfriend, get married later, get a job. That's not what Rinpoche wanted. And at the same time, Rinpoche was experiencing all the abuse at home and the setbacks, and that culminated in the parents not allowing him to go for teachings, controlling him because of that. And on his birthday, Rinpoche asked, there was one particular time when the parents was very happy and asked him what did he wanted for his birthday, and he asked to be given permission to attend teachings. This started basically initiation, actually, largely. And his parents initially agreed, then it flipped back and forth. And so that was what Rinpoche experienced. And he did eventually receive the initiation, but he could not sit through the entire commentary later because his parents came and took him back. So it was in a way, it was sad because he couldn't get through all the, get the teachings that he wanted, and his parents was not agreeable to it, didn't allow it, and so there was a conflict. And at the same time, among not just that, not just not allowing him to teachings, he had this abuse, and his father was distant and was adding to it from his philandering ways. Philandering means having affairs outside. Okay, so what happened was, so all this built up in him, and then eventually he attempted. Initially, as a young child, he attempted suicide, and that failed. And then also he attempted to run away from home. And in America, mind you, this is not Malaysia. Meaning to say, it is extremely dangerous in America for children to be on the street, because a lot of children are killed, even to this day. It is very dangerous, and Rinpoche is aware of the danger, even at that time. And when he ran away, he was deathly afraid to be put in juvie. Juvie is a special prison for kids, for before adults. So and these are kids from, basically juveniles. Juveniles are underage, not adults yet, but teenagers. So, but there's a lot of violence and abuse that goes on, even in prisons, especially in prisons. And some of you will probably be aware of what I'm talking about. So Rinpoche was definitely afraid to be put in juvie. And but fortunately, he was returned home. So he attempted a couple of times, 3 times, to run away from home. On the 3rd try, he made it. So America is like this. Okay, this is America. Just visualize this. Let me see if I can. I think there's a map here somewhere. Yes, there's a map, but you may not be able to see very clearly. This is America. This is New Jersey on the left. This is on the east. This is on the west. New Jersey is here. And this line, this red line here, shows the route that Rinpoche took. His goal actually was not to end up in Los Angeles. That was not where he initially wanted to go. He wanted to go way further. He wanted to go to Hawaii. Hawaii is somewhere in the Pacific Ocean. It's an island. So, but he ended up in Los Angeles, and sorry, there's a question, I think. From Yiman. Hi Yiman. You say, sorry Pastor David, I have a question which is related to what we mentioned last week. You mentioned that we need merits to benefit others. Why is that so? Why do we need merits to benefit others? Okay, let me finish the story, then I'll get to your question. Okay? So Rinpoche eventually ended up in Los Angeles. Okay, I think for now, for this week, I think I will end the story here, and I'll go into him running away and the dynamics and what happened next week. Okay, because we have many more weeks to go for this lockdown, so I'll be detailing you the stories. And since I have time now, and I'm going to answer Iman's question about benefiting others, why it takes merits. Actually, specifically, not merits. It's actually good karma to benefit others, because you do not actually need merits as in dedicated to enlightenment in order to benefit others. Actions dedicated to enlightenment. you can have good karma. You need a lot of good karma to help others. Why? Why is that? Because every circumstances that you wish to come about, that you wish to experience for yourself or for others, there must be a cause. Remember, cause and effect, karma. Cause is action, effect is the result of your actions. So in Sanskrit, it's karma, vipaka. Vipaka is the result. So in order to effect benefit for others, there must be a cause. And most people think that the cause is the action that you do to benefit people, right? Just having the action you do to benefit people is not enough, because you have to. You see, when you benefit people, especially if you wish to benefit a lot of people, or you wish to benefit people in a very powerful, spiritual and meaningful way, like through the Dharma, because it will affect their future lives. What happens is their negative karma will gather and become obstacles. A lot of obstacles can arise. And sometimes our wish to help them does not materialize because of that. And the obstacles will come and will arise, and our plans will be foiled. And sometimes, many times, the recipient of your benefit will not appreciate it, the time is not right, whatever it is. And why is that? Why is all the circumstances are coming up, like become so bad, and everything doesn't align? It's because the cause is not created for them to receive the Dharma. That's how the way karma works. Everything has a cause and effect. So in order to benefit people, you need to have merits. You need to have good karma. I mentioned merits because it's more important for us as spiritual aspirants, as spiritual practitioners, as Dharma practitioners, as Kecharians, that we understand the distinction between good karma and merits, and we strive for merits versus just good karma. Because we can do good things anytime, and knowing the distinction, knowing that good karma can be exhausted, can have. You see, good karma, usually what happens is like this. Let me tell you something about good karma. Good karma is something that when you do something good, like let's say you feed the homeless one time and you do not dedicate it, you do not convert it to merits, what happens is the result will come back to you once and then finish. It gets exhausted. And you benefit them short term. Medium and long term, they do not get benefit. Sometimes the best situation is medium to long term, they don't get any benefit, and that's it. Sometimes whatever you benefit short term can result in long term not good. Disbenefit. For example, you feed them, you encourage them, you do not plant any seeds. In the future, they will meet the same circumstances again and again and again. You did not actually help them long term. You just help them for that moment. So it is important that, that's why for Dharma practitioners, when we feed the homeless, it's good to recite mantras. Don't just do it and have dedication and aspiration into it. So it is converted in merit, so that when you benefit them into future lives, not just that moment. And as a Dharma practitioner, there's many ways, simple actions of even of eating ourselves, of feeding someone, an animal, of buying a gift for someone. You can make it an act of Dharma, or for yourself. Even for yourself, you can, something as simple as buying clothes for yourself, you can make it an act of Dharma too. You can generate merits. There's ways of it, and perhaps will be another talk for another time, but it's important. So you have to understand the distinctions between good karma, merit. So when we know the immense benefit of merits, so we always strive to generate more merits, not just good karma. Okay? But in essence, to benefit others, we definitely need a lot of good karma and merits. And I hope I've impressed on you. Why? Because it's a cause for you to help them. And generally, as Dharma practitioners, we don't want to just help them for that moment. We don't just want to help your loved ones for that moment. We want to help them to future lives. We You want to plant seeds. You want to help them on a long-term basis. And that will be when we have that perspective, when we have that kind of motivation to help people, to help beings, animals, spirits, even friends, strangers, acquaintances. When we have the motivation to help them long term, to plant seeds for them, to bless them, to encourage them in their practice, then what happens is our prayers, our bodhisattva prayers, our prayers to benefit all sentient beings becomes real. Okay, so that's very important. I hope that helps, and if there's no more questions, I would like to call it for today. Let me see, let me refresh a little bit, just in case if a question came in. So today I covered a little bit more of which is the dynamics in his household, of his foster parents, of meeting his teacher, of how Rinpoche is different from us in similar circumstances, and at the same time is very similar to us because it's just he was affected by the abuse, he was affected by his childhood, and so it's good to see Rinpoche from a more rounded view of who he is and be inspired from his good qualities and for his human qualities. Because after all, Rinpoche is human, we are human. And traditional biographies tend to deify the guru as extremely attained, floating in the cloud, having lots of attainments, single-pointed with their studies and meditations. And so, I mean, that is just one side of the story, because there is also a human aspect of struggle, of the difficulties they have to go through, of overcoming adversity, of experiencing life that usually is not stressed very much in traditional biographies, especially of the earlier lamas and gurus of India and Tibet. And in these days, the lamas, and also because in modern times, more people write about the lama, so we have a bigger perspective of how the lama is, and so we can be inspired not just from his spiritual qualities, also from his human qualities, of him as a human being, of his interest, of his of the challenges that he experienced. Okay, so let me see. I refreshed, and I'm still waiting for it to refresh. That's my hi, Jerry. Thank you very much. I'm glad I'm able to help you with that. Hi, how do you pronounce this? Marjolaine Holberger. I hope I got your name correct. Welcome. I am sorry, but towards the end, if you have any questions, you just tell me now. I will answer them. And hi, Jerry Gold. Welcome. I see you quite often. That's nice. And I see myself a little bit red. It's just the lighting at this moment. So if you have no questions whatsoever, I'll continue this spiritual Saturday storytelling about Rinpoche and sharing and analyzing. I like to analyze Rinpoche's life from the perspective of how we are different from him and the qualities that he embodies and from that particular period of his life. And the dynamics between his family or whoever, like his teachers and his peers at the time, and his interests, and how he can be used to inspire us in our own journey, in our own spiritual journey. And for Rinpoche's childhood, it's very much of his struggle with his parents. And I also spoke a little bit about that, because we all have perhaps little struggles of ourselves, of our own, because sometimes when we enter into a spiritual practice, for example, like Dharma in Kechara, sometimes we experience a little bit of setback, a little bit of misunderstanding from our parents, from our family, who think that, you join the Dharma, what's going on? Is this a cult? So in understanding that, to come into understanding how we deal with it. So from Rinpoche's perspective, Rinpoche was a child at that time, so it was different in the sense that he was not able to express as much. We as adults, once learning Rinpoche's story, his consistency. And so, if we are consistent in whatever we do in our practice, naturally it will rub off on people. It will inspire people. At the very least, people will say, they will have respect for our practice. There is not something, oh, we picked up today and 6 months down the road, we just, we give it up because we're bored, we want to look for something else. So I hope that this inspires us to have long-term interest in the Dharma practice, in learning about Rinpoche's life. All right? So I don't see any questions. I'm glad to be able to share, and I wish you all the best. Thank you very much, and we will end the session here. Sorry, I can't go and press myself. I need something to do it for. Thank you very much. Have a good weekend.
Finished button.